Hello, this is Teri. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Amethyst Astro Tarot. I'm a practicing astrologer and tarot reader. So for any professional services for astrological interpretation and tarot reading, you can always contact me through the links in my profile. Having said all, sorry about this. Today I will be making this video recording for the birth chart of the publicly known personality of the Gemini season. In Taurus season, if you may remember or remind yourselves that I had done a video about Adele, the musician, English musician Adele, and today for the Gemini season, I will be looking, much briefly than Adele's one, to the chart of tennis player Venus Williams. And after looking at her natal chart and talking about a bit, also I look at the main stuff in her forecasting, but as I said, it won't be as detailed as the Adele one. So to keep it like short and at the point, I prefer that this will be a shorter one. Also, I have the energy left to make the Turkish version as well. So let's start with the Venus Williams. I will share the screen for her chart, and also, I have to tell that this all information can be found on the net in most of the free astrology website, and so it's not something like privately retrieved data. We can even find it in the solar fire software as well. And also it is good to mention that that publicly known doesn't mean that I would approach it in a different way. I would just make the interpretation as I would be doing it one-to-one with a private client as well. And also, it's good to mention that, as I said, all this public information, I said that you can find it. So let's start. Like later I will remember what I was going to say probably. When first a chart comes, generally what we look at. I look at. It's like what we say is big three. Of course, it's the sun and the moon and the ascendant. Sun for Venus Williams in Gemini, which is about her identity, her self-expression, her power, where she shines. Really in her life, we can say that. And also the moon is like more like how we feel secure, the area that we have the sense of security, and then our needs are met. And also it's like the emotional expressions are considered. But of course, moon can be about also about our mother, or the how we get mothered. In a way, it can give clues, but it's not necessarily about that. And I generally don't like getting into that part, since it is sometimes can become touchy subjects in certain situations, as long as the chart owner doesn't want to talk about it. It's always good to avoid, not to be intrusive in a way. And the ascendant is like about our life approach and how we see life. And sometimes it is also considered that could give information about our physical appearance. And also it is said that like when we enter a room, the first impression that we make on people, like how we enter and then how we stand, can be also in a way understood by the ascendant sign, which is in Libra. So after looking at these three main big let's say, of course we have to see their relationship, all these with the rest of the chart, how they are affected, and like how they play a role in the person's life. And it's just what I was going to mention at the beginning that I said I forgot. It's like I also, I mean, except having watched, I think, a lot of games that Venus Williams played in the past, I literally don't have any information about her personal life and private life. I mean, so I think it's always good for me. So less information that I have is always gives the chance to make a more objective interpretation, because sometimes it happens that like when you have too much information, I think it feels like, this matches, but I think in a way it sometimes can be a bit prejudiced. So I like the fact that I don't have any information about her. I mean, like her personal life, as I didn't have mostly about Adele either. So I mean, like looking at that, um, it's also it's really interesting. Her name is Venus Williams, and the ascendant is the Libra. And Libra is like, I mean, when we have Libra, it's like it's I mean, like in a way, um, our life approach is like about, being balanced, harmonious. There's I mean, loving energy there. And also, I mean, like sometimes, I mean, it can be about being diplomatic, and also compassion. Sometimes, like, to get along with the others, we may sometimes compromise some of the things in our lives in that sense. And it can be also sometimes being indecisive as well. I mean, like what to do, but always, I mean, like we have to consider the opposite sign of that, which is in this case Aries. And I think in that sense, I mean, like even that there is this compromising, and there is this like keeping this balance and everything. There is also the feeling of this justice. I mean, if there is injustice, then we wouldn't probably see this much harmonious approach, but instead, for keeping that justice, keeping that balance, there can be more uh, driven part that is coming into the place as well. So we always need to take into consideration what the other opposite sign says. Like sometimes it's the shadow sign, to understand what it may mean when the things go south, right? And also, like having said that, Libra is ruled by the Venus, that is the traditional ruler of Libra, which makes it the chart ruler. And the name is Venus Williams, and it's also hand in hand with the sun. It's like, that Venus is like all this expression of in a way of love and harmony, but at the same time, our values, no, the values, the expression of the values, the how we relate to people, how we value things, is quite in sync. How Venus Williams expresses herself, it is really very much in touch with her identity, her power, how she shines in life. I think in that sense it's really important. And of course, since Gemini comes into um, act here, we can talk about like being rational, more rational, and being curious, but also being this social personality. At the same time, since it's air, it's like there is like that, there is this love for mental exchange, there is this love of, I mean, for I mean, exchange of ideas and mental interaction, and also, I mean, like being more flexible, that comes with the mutability of the Gemini. Only one important thing is that we see that this RX here, that means that when Venus and Williams was born, Venus was retrograde in the sign of Gemini. And then I checked that. I mean, it's really important to see, like, when our lives progresses, which is we can see with the secondary progressions or progress charts, at a point some of the retrograde planets that we have goes direct. So it means that when it's retrograde, there is a bit inner expression, and also there is this thing that, I mean, for example, in case of Mercury, if it's like this, we think twice, or we have different way of approach. In case of Venus, also the way that expression of love, expression, I mean, the way that relating to other people would be more um, inner, and would be more inwards rather than outwards. Because if it's like with Gemini, you will think about someone that would be really like very social, like chatty, etc., the way that they relate, like this. But when it is inwards, I mean, we can see that it becomes much shy in relating to people. Even that is part of her character and identity. And it's interesting that when Venus Williams was 19 years old, which we are talking about 1999, this Venus in the progress chart went direct. So it means that I think it should have made a lot of difference in her life and in her self-expression, because all of a sudden, maybe what she was keeping inside all those years, maybe she was much introvert, maybe she was much in a way um, like shy, as I said. I mean, like, or was, I mean, like, sometimes hesitant to express her values, what she values the most, what she loves the most. I think in that sense, maybe that point, it could have come out better and made a complete difference in her life. I think that's only can be learned when talking to Venus Williams in person. But that's an interesting point. And I also generally look at the elemental balance, which elements, I mean, that there are some planets, or the some of the angles are in which planets, and there which elements they are. And also I look at the modality. So in that sense, I mean, when we look at the Venus Williams chart, we see that there is a nice balance between the practical skills and grounding, and like this stability, and also this the communication and the ideas, and those all mental things going in the air. But on the other hand, we see that um, uh, that when it comes to energy, and then being active, maybe in some cases more being fiery, etc., there is kind of a bit of lack. But that doesn't mean that she wouldn't show it, but that means that there should be more effort than normal to show that energy, and show that uh, active personality in life. Because when we look at the main placements in her chart, there is only this moon in Leo, and that's the only fire placement. That's where I'm coming from. And in the sense of mutability, modality, sorry, we see that that she might be very flexible if necessary. She might be very her adaptation level should be high. I think for a tennis player, I think it's really important because where the game takes you, you have to really probably you have a way of playing the tennis. Of course, you have a technical point, but according to the player that you are facing and how the match goes, I think you have to be really flexible about that and make sure that you can make that changes on point in that sense. I mean, in that sense, I think it's really um, it can be something that is good, but at the same time, when this mutable placements or any other kind of modality is too dominant, sometimes it can shadow the other ones, and too much sometimes flexibility or changing sides uh, might prevent sometimes the level of fixing some of the things in the sense that I mean, like if we need to stay with certain amount of thing or certain people or certain situations, but maybe sometimes we are not able to do that, so it can be a downside in that sense. But again, like in the elements, maybe this requires more effort, or I mean, in Venus Williams' life, we can say that. And I mean, like looking at uh, the relationship between the sun and the moon, we are seeing that here also. There's a 60 degrees, like nearly exact sextile, which is about the crescent moon that she was born during the phase of crescent moon. It's like should be a few days after the not even a few days, probably. I have to see. It's the 26th. Yeah, it's like yeah, it's not a lot, much time after the new moon, and uh, having said that, when it is crescent moon phase, I mean, we can see this assertive person, maybe that energy that is missing coming from there. I mean, like it can be like ready to leave things behind and then move forward, and if necessary, I mean, like maybe leaving some of the behind so that you can have a better path and everything. So in that sense, I think that's a really nice energy that comes through that. And also looking at I mean, there are lots of things to talk, and I think the one of the important things in her chart, there are lots of things, of course, but there is this here, what we call a T-square, and that's the apex planet, the planet that is like when we think about is like a chariot. The Mars, in the sense, is the charioteer. It's the warrior, but this practical warrior, because it's in Virgo. Mars is in Virgo. It's a very practical warrior, and this one is trying to keep um, the sometimes pulling, sometimes pushing, but making sure that if there is any kind of opposition or polarity between her ideals, her dreams, and also the way that we idealize stuff, or artistic things, and also like it's like sometimes uh, yeah, it is mostly the dreams and the ideas, we can say about it, and also the boundaries, being without boundaries, that kind of polarity between this part, and also the both uh, her identity and her values. And I think that practical warrior is very important in that sense, that is trying to uh, keep that balance as the charioteer, or the, like, the marionette um, players, that you try to keep all those marionettes, the puppets, in place and make sure that they go in the right direction so that the play goes on. I think that in that sense it's really important. And also it's also important to see that there is that whatever that warrior is about, what is this drive, and the energy and the action comes with authority, but sometimes also with limitations, especially when it comes to the area that is more about uh, feeling, I mean, for others, and then putting others above us. It's like a more transcendent, and it's a more collective area that we are talking about. And wow, there is much more to talk about, but I think this is the what we call T square is really important. I wouldn't say that there would be any uh, Grand Cross and other T squares, since they are much related with the some of the angles. So I wouldn't get into the details of them, including the yod, that looks like there is a yod, but I think it is more there is the nodes are involved in that, south node involved in that, so I wouldn't consider it a yacht, which is a destiny point for some of the people in their lives. And I mean, looking at all the um, things, also, I mean, like, we can say that, I mean, in her expression, in her mood, I mean, like, it's in the house of hopes, dreams, and groups, and the friends. And sometimes I think it's the also the house of, like, the uh, can be about the sometimes the, yeah, that the dreams groups, the where the also the wider community, we can think about that. And then it looks like in her expressions, I mean, inner expressions, emotional expressions, there is a lot of uh, confidence, and then creative power that is coming through that. And I think it's a very nice thing, even it's not, they are not in the same signs. And combination with the Jupiter, it gives a lot of chance to expand this inner expression, and then the sense of security, and also the needs that are in an authentic way. And also it gives a place for growth, and it also gives the place for finding more meaning in life in a way. And also, I mean, like, I don't know if she's doing any coaching or something like that, because it's really interesting that to see that that her inner calling or vocation is in the 10th house, is the house of career. Also, it's like where we stand in the public, but it's about caring, nurturing, and, like, in a way, very emotional place, but also it's like a very much motherhood sense in that sense. And I wonder, though it's in the, again, Leo, I mean, moon is in Leo, it can be anything. Like, also it's, I mean, like, in mundane, Mercury is about education, again it's in the Cancer. So it can be the case that it's like, if she is in a stage in her life that she might be coaching also the children, and, yeah, younger generation, about what she knows at the moment. I mean, like, all her experience in tennis or any other type of knowledge, or that she has this all these information that she has. So that can be an interesting point as well. I think, I mean, of course, I mean, there is in a natal chart, there is too much to be talked about, but I think these would be the main points that I will be telling about her chart. Of course, there are some what we call angular things that to have Pluto on the ascendant, it's really in a way powerful, but at the same time, it can um, be talking about early life transformation changes, and sometimes I think it's a way of like it's in the first house about ourselves, sometimes being invisible, no, invisibility is about it, but I think it's a lot of um, sometimes it can be about things that are about uh, the life and death situation in the early years of the life can be considered sometimes, but it's not necessarily there. So it's also can be considered some kind of um, a subject that is need to be discussed and told in a way. I mean, like sometimes because we have these experiences in the first years of our life, in the beginning of our life, that uh, it can be also during the birth. I mean, the things can happen and then bring it in a, the bridge position, and everything can bring people to the between this life and the other life situations. So, but it's only one of the meanings, but it can be about, as I said, about also determination. Pluto, there's a lot of power in that, and also there is lots of this change, transformation, something putting things down to recreate stuff, but create something better. So I think that can be also about her beginnings, her initiations all through life as well. So I think that, yeah, will be also, I think that last point to say, I think seeing this, especially moon and north node, I think it's really also powerful, this emotional state of mind to move forward, to be her authentic self and to go from a more collective point to a self point for a creative and productive and also this confident life ahead. I think it's really important in that sense when we look at her charts. I mean, and when I was looking at I think I stopped sharing. I will share more. I think I have files which I like. Let me see. Okay, Venus forecasting. This is how I do things. Of course, these are general stuff, but when I was looking at as I said, secondary progressions, I took a bit thing. It looks like that she might be in a stage of her life, especially she will get into a stage of her life, especially when we look at the October 2024, etc. Like I was telling all this, like teaching and everything, that she may decide that, I mean, like it's like, you know, that we sometimes in our careers, we come to a point that, okay, this is, I have done what I have done. I mean, I have started this career, I don't know, this many years ago, but I think there is a point that there is no room, no space for improving ourselves more. No, there is a limit. The sky is the limit, but there is a limit at the end of the day that how we can go further and forward. And we come to a point that either we can change sometimes jobs or decide to make something else, and it could be related with our old profession, or I mean, it can be related directly. It can be a different continuation or completely change of career. And also, it can be the case that whatever we were doing before, it could be the time to share it with the others. All our, as I said, all our knowledge, all the experience that we have, and then time to give it back to the community and society. I think in that sense there is this sense of um, um, mm, I think inner feeling that could be reflected in real life events that might happen with Venus Williams starting from the October 2024, and it would be come to that stage. And also, it's interesting that that again, I have said that I'm in natally she has the moon in Leo, but in this progress chart, in the when she's now going to be like 44 years old, no, and in her 44th, I think before that, it's 13th of March 2024, the this progress moon moved into the sign of Aries, which means, what does it mean that progress moon? That it's like in her inner world, maybe it was like she was in a stage no more this emotional, maybe isolated, and also it's like more like deep down the sea. You know, sometimes it's a place that we would like to have a rest from the rest of the time, rest of the world, and we would like to stay with our own feelings, our own thoughts and everything. And then after we that retreat period, we just come back, you know, in a very energetic, in a very like driven way, and that could be have started happening with Venus Williams in her inner world again, which could be reflected to the outer world. I think that maybe in terms of mood now, starting from March 2024, she could have been like this energetic, enthusiastic, go for it. I mean, like sometimes maybe a bit impatient, but it's like, you know, that would find more sense of security and this um, more through uh, focusing on herself, on her feelings, and also being more energetic in that sense. I think it's important to recognize that in terms of things. It would be happening more probably in the in area of, I mean, like the work environment, her daily routines, the sports, you know, health, nutrition, diet, and also sometimes it's of course related with the um, pets as well, but it would be probably more related to her work environment and also her health and everything. And later in 2025, we would see all this energy in her relationships, one-to-one relationships, or also in her um, business relationships more. As I said, I'm not making anything in detail. I'm just looking at some points. So uh, anyone watching wouldn't later say, "Oh, but there was this, there was there." There is a lot of things. Yes, there is a lot of things. I completely agree, but these are the important. And there is this also thing that I mean, like by July 2024, there could be this warrior energy in a very depth, but in a more powerful way that can come out in herself in general. I mean, like it's about more about herself than anyone else. And also, I mean, uh, looking at the all the transit and everything, I was looking, I think that so that there could be, I mean, like again, I think for this state of I mean, the inner expression, emotional expression, her needs, and also the variant in her self would go through some kind of um, uh, uh, adjustments or some transformations, and sometimes she could see that there could be some kind of wailing in her feelings, how she expresses her emotions. Uh, in that sense, I mean, so I think that there could be that this kind of feelings that could go through, and also there could be this unexpected, some changes and surprises that could be happening in her again inner world, or anyone that could be an important feminine mother figure in her life. I mean, it could be that she could see this kind of changes. But first, I think it will start with kind of those surprises or sudden changes or wake up calls related with herself, with her identity, with her self expression, which is more about how she shines in, I think, it can be also, I mean, like at a spiritual level as well, spiritual world, but it can be about also the her standing in the her identity, and how she mm, shines normally in the foreign world and in the foreign cultures and everything. And so in that sense, that could have get changes and some sudden changes that could be related with her uh, eighth house, which can be about the shared values, shared assets, and also it can be related with her more intimate relationships, and again it can be related with her with some things that are not necessarily physical, but it's like some things ending and new things starting. It's like a regeneration, rejuvenation, and that kind of stuff that can be going on as well. I mean, it's like that there are lots of transits and everything going on. I wouldn't go too much in detail, but I have also highlight these, which means that I mean all these eclipses that will happen on the 17th of September 2024, 13th of March 2025, 7th September 2025. These are lunar eclipses, and there is, I see this also, this 8th of April 2024 solar eclipse that happened in the sign of Aries, has a direct relationship on her uh, natal chart, the foundation of her life, as she has this 19 degrees Pluto in her natal chart in the first house, so it could have affected things, new things happening and affecting her determination and the changes and the power in life in a different way. I think it could have been an important change for her in terms of herself and then her relationships, this solar eclipse that happened at that point. So also it's also, I mean, in a really dilemma or conflicting or pushing way with her. I mean, like the way of her communication, her ideas, and sometimes it could be about the siblings as well, since we are talking about Mercury and made this T square taking the Mercury as the apex planet, so it could have affected that area of life and starting something really very important in her relationships, in her career, and in her in her own self. In that sense, I will stop sharing. These are my files that I look through generally. So I think that would be that in general. I think that I didn't look at oh, there's too much sunlight all of a sudden that came through. I didn't look at the solar return on purpose because I generally prefer that I know the place that the person will pass their solar return when the sun comes to exactly to the same point as they in their birth, like in their birth. So I didn't want to speculate about that much, but probably during her solar return, we will be having uh, Mercury and Venus will get into the sign of Cancer, and then in a few days the also the Sun will move into the Cancer, and as far as I know, that the Moon probably would be moving into Scorpio tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check it quickly. January, June. What January? Teri? Okay, it's like tomorrow is the 17th. Yes, I'm in UK time. Tomorrow morning, Moon will be entering into Scorpio. I'm not sure. I mean, like if her solar return would be today. I mean, today or tomorrow. Today is 16th and tomorrow is 17th. Depending, it would be either in Libra or it would be on in Scorpio. We have to see. I mean, like as I said, since I don't know the place of her birthday where she's going to celebrate her birthday this year, I wouldn't speculate about the solar return much. I think that's, I mean, general information. I know that some jargon I use, but I just use them to explain where I'm coming from. But the main idea is there, how she could be, I mean, like what are her foundations and what kind of changes in certain areas of life she may expect more or less in 2024, but briefly. So hope to see you in another video. Bye bye.